All right. Welcome to today's coffee and conversation session. As you're aware, the recordings of these sessions will be available on our website and on the YouTube channel. Please feel free to ask questions and make comments as we go along. As we do start, Outdoors Queensland would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the various lands where we gather across the state. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the important roles that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples play in relation to land, sky and waterways that are used for outdoor activities. I'm in Brisbane, or Meanjin, on Yagara country, which is the Jagera and Turrbal people's traditional lands. And this week's NAIDOC week for 2023. So the theme this year is for our elders, as it says on the screen there. And we do pay respect to elders whenever we do an acknowledgement of country. And NAIDOC week, it's actually it's about celebrating elders this year, which is interesting. It's more than acknowledging elders, that we're taking it about celebrating elders and the knowledge, which is great to see. We also acknowledge the funding provided by Queensland Government, which supports outdoor activities right across Queensland. And that includes funding for Outdoors Queensland that allows us to do our work. And as we were just talking on before we got started, we also acknowledge the work that various government departments and ministers do in relation to outdoor activities. And it is right across large sections of government, the touch points into outdoor activities. We deal a lot with sport and recreation, who are within the Queensland Department of Tourism, Innovation and Sport. So we do thank them for their support and their engagement in what we do. So this is the 7th episode of Coffee and Conversation for 2023. My name's Dom Courtney. I'm the Executive Officer of Outdoors Queensland. I'd like to welcome everyone who's joining us, the members of Outdoors Queensland and others, including those who are interstate. These recordings are publicly available. I'd really encourage you to ask questions and make comments as we go along. I did a bit of digging back through the records, and today we're at episode 75 of our Coffee and Conversation series, which started back in March 2020 as a response to the outbreak of COVID-19. We really started these sessions as a way to have a conversation to discuss what's going on and try to address that unique combination of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity that we're all facing. So really pleased to keep bringing people together to discuss topics of interest to the outdoors. And I hope great to see people still joining these sessions and contributing to them. So thank you all very much for the parts that you've played in that. So episode 75 may not be as large as episode 1 when we're all going, what is going on here? But it's still important. Bit of an agenda there, as we always do. I just saw Amy popped a message saying Clint's stuck in traffic, but he'll be here soon. So yeah, that can happen. So yeah, thank you for using the chat there, Amy. Yeah, really great to have a great group of people joining us today. So just a couple of quick ones. I've got the COVID stuff there at the top of the agenda. There's not a lot in that space at the moment, which I'm not disappointed to say. If you want to add anything to the agenda as we go through, please speak up. Feel free. And if you ever want to suggest a topic for discussion in a future session, just be in contact with me or Outdoors Queensland generally. Happy to have those discussions. Since our last session, Queensland Health, or the Queensland Government, I guess, they've actually discontinued the traffic light system that we had in place for about understanding the levels of risk associated with COVID-19. So just a couple of weeks ago, they announced that that system's no longer in use. And it says that Queensland Health's now monitoring COVID as part of its broader surveillance of respiratory illnesses, just like they do for influenza and RSV, which apparently stands for respiratory. Since I shouldn't have tried this one. Respiratory virus. I don't know. Someone else can have a go at that one. RSV seems to be the term. Another one of those acronyms. And Queensland Health basically just said, we're just going to monitor this. But it still says, you know, the standard protocols that we've been talking about, which feels like for a lot more than 3 years. But these ones here about keeping up to date with vaccinations, wearing masks when required to reduce risk, doing tests, staying home when sick, maintaining physical distancing and the good hand hygiene. So they still have that on their website, but it seems to be almost, you know, you could look up what to do in relation to any different type of disease, and I'll give you some guidance. So, yeah, it seems like we've there's another step forward, I guess, in that space. But I just wanted to flag that traffic light system is no longer in operation. And then the other one, which we've been following as well, is Education Queensland COVID rules and protocols. They've got their rules for state schools about attending camps and going on excursions on that website. That webpage still hasn't changed since January this year. We've actually contacted Education Queensland to see whether they're going to update the information on the website. I don't have an answer on that yet. It does just say that schools can go on camps, just need to what protocols are needed if someone has to go home because they get sick of any disease. So it's not, you know, it treats it just like any other part of planning a school camp now on that website. So the information on there is much less targeted, I guess, towards COVID to what it was. So it seems to have eased off a fair bit. So it's worth having a look at. But yeah, it hasn't changed since January. So I just wanted to flag that one. Now I'm going to cross my fingers. I hope you'll do the same. We'll just I just wanted to, the NAIDOC week theme, it is for our elders. I just wanted to share this video quickly, and I'm hoping it'll work and come through. So maybe if you can give me the thumbs up if this works for us. I'm not seeing a lot of thumbs up. No. Okay, I've got a plan B. Bear with me, sorry. That one. Let's see if this works.
We're proud to announce the 2023 National NAIDOC theme is for our elders.
Across every generation,
our elders have played
and continue to play
an important role
and hold a prominent place
in our community and families.
They are cultural knowledge holders,
trailblazers,
nurturers,
advocates,
teachers,
survivors,
leaders,
hard workers,
and our loved ones.
Our loved ones who pick us up in our low moments
and celebrate us in our high ones.
Who cook us a feed to comfort us
and pull us into line when we need them to.
They guide our generations and pave the way
for us to take the paths that we can take today.
Guidance not only through generations
of advocacy and activism
and how to place ourselves in the world.
We draw strength from their knowledge and their wisdom
in everything from land management,
cultural knowledge,
to justice and human rights.
Across multiple sectors like health,
education,
the arts,
politics, and everything in between.
They have set the many courses we follow.
The struggles of our elders
help to move us forward today.
The equality that we continue to fight for
Is found in their fight.
their tenacity and strength,
has carried the survival of our people.
It is their influence
And through their learnings,
that we must ensure
that when it comes to future decision making for our people,
There is nothing.
about us
without us,
We pay our respect to the elders we have lost.
and to those who continue fighting for us.
across all our nations.
and we pay homage to them.
In 2023, how will you celebrate for our elders?
Sorry, plan A didn't actually work for that one, but we got there. So yeah, I hope you don't mind me sharing that one. I just thought it was a really nice video that NAIDOC have shared with us in relation to the theme of For Our Elders. Alrighty. Couple of quick things that we've got going on. The nominations are open right now for the 2023 Outdoors Queensland Awards. These awards recognise and reward excellence in the outdoors community, and I think that's something we should be doing more of. There are awards for individuals, organisations, programs, events, and activities, which is pretty broad, and it's all about celebrating people who have improved outcomes for participants, clients, and communities. You can nominate yourself or someone else who's doing wonderful things in the outdoors. We like to think that there's a category for everyone. So please check out our website for more information on that one. I'll just pop the link in the chat right now. And yeah, if you want to check that out, please do. As I said before too, if there's any questions, comments as we go along, please feel free. I just wanted to touch on this one, the Outdoors New South Wales and ACT Summit last week, which was great. It was at Lennox Head in northern New South Wales, which is such a nice place. Like it is probably good enough to be part of Queensland. I said this on the day, but you know, it really is. We probably have a claim to it, I'd say. So we'll just watch that space. Such a lovely area. We may have to switch the border a little bit further south, and you know, they'd be honoured to join us, I'm sure. But thanks to Laurie and her team for all the work that they did. I went along with quite a few Outdoors Queensland members and other people from the industry up here, and it was a really great space to discuss the future of the outdoor industry and how we might overcome challenges and open up opportunities. So I don't know that it's always appreciated how much work goes into making sure an event like that summit actually comes together so well. So a huge thanks, obviously, to Laurie and her team, but also the sponsors, the presenters, the people who got up there on the panels, and the attendees who contributed to that event. So I hope everyone got a fair bit out of it. Laurie, thank you very much. Do you want to?
No, thank you, Dom. No, thanks for coming. And it was great to see so many of your members as well. I think it was really pitched to make sure that, you know, we had a real diverse audience that covered our whole industry, and the topics were relevant, hopefully, for most, if not all. So, yeah, I'm still recovering, still catching up. But yeah, from what I'm seeing in the feedback, yeah, everyone was very happy.
Terrific. And I hope everyone does fill out those feedback forms for you, so that you do get that that sense of what people took from it, and you know, that it's nice to have the pats on the back as long as anyone as well as the possible improvement spaces that people have seen. So yeah, well done on that. All righty. I'd just like to introduce Nikki Hansen, who's the project manager for NatCore, the National Centre for Outdoor risk and readiness. I always struggle on that last R, Nikki. I think it's the duplicate R's always tricks me up on the readiness. But yes, I hope you're ready, because I'll hand over to you, and you can go through about what's going on with NatCor and how we can all benefit.
Thanks, Dom. For those who don't, well, I'm going to get into NatCor in a second, but just for those who, most of you won't know me, I'm sitting down here in the very southwest of Western Australia, a place called Carradale. And just to give you a little bit of background, I've worked in outdoor education for 32 years, and 25 of them were running my own outdoor education business called Explorers Adventure Learning. And then we basically sold to the Outdoor Education Group and worked for them for a little while. And now I'm working as the project manager for NatCor. So NatCor came about due to a federal grant. This is the climate resilience kind of funding that the federal government's putting out there. So NatCor, the whole premise behind it is that we are here to help prepare the sector for the imminent effects of climate change, a lot of which are already happening and affecting all of us in what we actually do, putting programs on the ground. So that's kind of what we're attempting to do now. In that, I'm sorry, I've had technical difficulties this morning, so I'm going between two computers here. But the next one along, Dom, just is a really brief summary of the guiding principles that we're working to with NatCor. So the big thing is about collaboration, and so that is what we're trying to do with everything that NatCor is actually doing. So, we've had 2 webinars so far, so co-design webinars. We've asked for a lot of feedback from the sector about what it is that keeps them up at night. What do they actually want in terms of training and resources? Inclusive, adaptive, pragmatic and efficient, I hope. And we're really committed to actually what we're doing here. And absolutely earth-centered in what we're doing. When we actually had the webinar, so out of the first one, so that's on the next one, Dom, we had the top priorities that came out. And so you can see that there's 3 sort of areas there, which is the weather and conditions, incident, risk and incident management, and finance and insurance were the 3 big areas. We've also got another area what we're calling hub. These are sort of 4 hubs, and that's also impact and mitigation. But when we looked at the percentage of people and what they were saying they wanted, we sort of got some very clear direction about what we needed to be doing first off. We'll get on to what we're actually doing in July, but then the enabling activities, which is on the next one, Dom, is the networking collaboration is massive, and that's what we've just had at the summit in Lennox Head, which I was very fortunate to go to. Thanks, Laurie and team. That was really great. Actually met Dom in the flesh, which was excellent. And so that, that bringing together is really, really important. I think we get a lot out of just the conversations we have with each other, the struggles we're facing, the challenges we face, the wins that we have, and sharing that information. So you'll see again in what we're offering in July that there really is that opportunity. But also the other little bubble is really that whole thing about resources, training and PD. So some quotes that I really like, it says PD wins every time, you can't beat training. So that's what we're trying to do, is give you some practical, practical training, PD that actually really counts and is applicable to your workplace, wherever it is. So then we've got Nikki, the final slide there.
Nikki, just before you move on, there's that other statement there, which I think probably leads into your next one, is that one about programs need staff in decision-making roles to have skills to adapt. We spend most of our energy in training and development for entry-level staff. I think that's a really interesting quote there, which you know, probably comes on really well into the next one.
Yeah, absolutely, Dom. And, you know, because of that, you know, that has been the focus on of the sector for a very long time, is like, okay, what do we need for the people coming into the industry? We're also really well aware that post-COVID, we're sitting in a space where there's been a lot of loss of expertise in that middle management area. And I think that's really, really pertinent. So a lot of people who were sort of sitting, you know, as a senior, you know, group leader or what have you, have kind of really been elevated up into, say, program coordinator roles, and a lot of the time feeling like, okay, I'm supported, but I really need some extra PD to make me feel comfortable doing what I'm doing. So when we were sort of hashing this out and working about what we would do first, as you know, I was first offering in a physical sense in terms of training, we actually came up with running these incident response workshops. So what we've done is we've put together, we're working with Risk Resolve, so Claire Dallett from Risk Resolve. So in partnership with those guys, what we've done is said, let's try and cover as much of the country as we can. Knowing that Deb Ayango, who's come over from Alaska, has only got like 2 weeks available. And it was, so anyway, a bit of a mission to try and put it all together. We're trying to cover, we've got the 5 states, so starting in Victoria, so the day before the Outdoors Vic conference, we've got a workshop there. And I've got to sort of say also there's 2 workshops per state. So we've got the middle management workshop, which really is aimed at, you know, your program managers, program coordinators, your uni lecturers, your TAFE lecturers. You know, you might be a coordinator at a school who's got an external provider, but you are the person within the school. And then we've also got the senior management. Okay, so we add Sonia Zaveski into the mix with the senior management. So Sonia comes in as a media trainer. So she's this is really aimed at, I suppose, organisational leaders, your principals, deputy principals, leadership team at a school or an organisation, board members. You know, it's about trying to create a situation where you've got a clear plan to follow if you do have an incident. We're saying that I suppose the probability or possibility of having an incident in the outdoors is going to be increased when we have these more severe weather events that are affecting us. We're frontline working outdoor and in the outdoors. So how do you deal with that incident when you're in a really stressful situation? I think Deb always describes it as your amygdala gets hijacked. So your logical thinking sort of processes get out the window. So to have a really clear process to follow is what these guys are going to be talking about, and also giving you the resources post workshop so that you have a template that you can then apply to your workplace, specifically to your workplace. Sonia, for the senior managers, will also be providing resources. And we really, you know, with all the different states we're going to, we've had really great support from our peak bodies there. So thanks to Dom, thanks to Laurie in the 3 states we're covering there. And also, you know, the OEA and OCA are our stakeholder engagement partners. So, you know, we really, really value what they are also doing in terms of supporting and promoting this. And the reason why, you know, we wanted to come on and have a chat on here was really the 2 states that I suppose we're wanting to boost the numbers in are really Queensland and New South Wales. But with Queensland, it's the 27th and 28th, so Thursday, Friday in July. So the middle management is on the 27th and the senior is on the 28th. And there we've got space at the ACU campus in Banyo, and that's where they'll be running. It's 9 to 4 on those days. On our website, there's also, Dom's just shared the link to that in the chat in there as well. It also gives you, when you go into that, it gives you sort of like, you know, which workshops for me. You can go in and get a little bit more information about which one's best for you, but also some frequently asked questions. Things like, you know, if we've already got a crisis management plan in our organisation, why should we come? And Claire answers that really well. And things like, can I go to both workshops? Yeah, of course you can. Now, we'd love you to come. The price for them, so we've subsidised them through NatCore. So it's 180 for the middle management workshop and 300 for the senior, because there's a little bit more bang for your buck in terms of what, including a third presenter and what she brings with her. Yeah, so really that's the start of what we're doing PD wise. The next things that we've got on our radar, forgive the pun, is around weather and environmental conditions. So yeah, working with the Bureau of Met and things like that, trying to get together things like multi-agency scenarios so that people can actually, you know, see what it's like and who's responsible for what when you do have an incident. So the different agencies like your police, SES, AMBOs, fireys, etc. Yeah, so that's all stuff that's in the pipeline. But thanks for the opportunity to come on, Dom. And if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Nikki. Jason's got his hand up. We'll go straight to you, Jason.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that, Nikki. Look, I'm just hiding away in the background here. I've just come across from working in war zones and in NGOs for the last 10 or so years. And I'm looking at bringing, so I'm a project manager, engineer, counsellor, first line mental health type person. I'm looking at coming across and developing programs for adventure therapy, and I'm going into doing some training with people down in Tasmania and the local guys up here on the Sunshine Coast. Yeah. What I'm sitting in here for is just to try and see where the industry's at, because it's a new industry for me. One of the things that comes to mind, I'm looking at developing a 5-day program up here in the Noosa Everglades up on the Sunshine Coast. And things that come to mind for me are like coming from the war zone, working with NGOs and the mining industry, you know, your risk assessment, your safety management, all these insurances and things like that, which the industry that I've come from is self-regulated to an extent, and we're quite regulated and rigorous with what we do in those fields. What I'm finding tricky to get my head around is when we do it in the NGO world, we generally work on that we're going into a hot zone or whatever, and we can describe that, and we have got control over that to an extent. What I'm seeing or finding difficult developing this program up here is that there's 3 or 4 different bodies that we'll be going onto their land. You know, we're working on Indigenous land, we're working on local government land, work on state government land, and we probably go across some private enterprise. So what I'm looking for is some guidance, you know, and I'm sure that it's been done 1,000 times. You know, do you guys build templates, or do you have a best practices or something along that you know, can start me on this program where I can start to develop all these risk assessments that, you know, I can develop these because I do them all the time, but I want to make sure that they're meeting your industries or our industry standards from now on. Yeah,
that's a really great question to put out there, because it's in all our best interests to have a high bar in that area of the initial, so your risk management, your preparation, all that sort of stuff. Like you said, you're dealing with multiple agencies in that. They all ask different questions. That's also, you know, some of the stuff that came up in our webinar feedback and things that people were wanting as well. So what we're trying to also do on our website is put in, so on our website, there's a drop down called hubs, and it goes into the four hubs that we're doing. So the weather, environmental conditions, risk management and incident response, impact and mitigation, and social and economic resilience. With that risk management and incident response, what we're hoping to be able to do on there too is exactly what you're saying or suggesting, which is having almost like a template on there that people can sort of say, okay, this is a really good one that's applicable, and I can then curate it for my organisation. I would say that when we do that, Jason, it would be something we'll publicly promote. It's a matter of, because, so for example, Claire Dallett works in that space, well, that's her bread and butter is risk management. She's got a real systems thinking approach to risk management, but there's also not just her way, there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. And we hope to be able to just get something together. We can say, okay, this meets the needs of what our different insurers, land managers and so forth are kind of asking of us, but also it's a, you know, it's a really easy thing also, I suppose, for your staff, other people to be able to follow. Does that answer your question, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it does. I mean, what I'm finding difficult, there's a couple of things I'm finding difficult is to find the landowners, you know, who's the responsible caretaker of that land, finding a list of there, because, you know, for that particular area that we're looking at doing a 5-day hike and paddle, it goes across local government, state government, then comes back through a national park, and then on private enterprise, a private public space.
You've got it covered, haven't you?
Oh, and I thought this is a great hike, and then I went, oh bugger. But you know, that's fine, and I can manage those people, but the complexity of it comes, and it's the same as because I've worked with in the mining industry and in the NGO industry, I've worked with multiple landowners, you know, across 100 kilometres. So there might be, you know, 50 private landowners. There's, you know, 2 Indigenous groups, and there's 4 government bodies, and it's like herding cats. But again, you know, what I described in the mining and in the NGO world is that our activities, whether I was working in North Africa or whether I was working in Syria or whether I was working in wherever, the basic principles of our activity were the same, and the conditions were similar. So what I don't think it'd be that difficult if there was a governing body that said, if you're going to sit in a boat and you're going to talk about mental health with this age group, this is the risk. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing it in Queensland, New South Wales or Victoria, it's going to be similar risk. And that's what I'm looking at is, you know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and especially because I haven't got a lot of skill in this area.
Yeah, we do have the Australian Adventure Activity Standards and good practice guidelines, good practice guides. So there is that aspect of it. They don't provide like the full-on template of here you go, because it's about applying that framework to your operating environment. But they do have a lot of guidance for activity specific, but also for, you know, all outdoor activities, whether there's an activity specific guide or not. So that's probably worth a look. So
no, and that's like, I don't want to, like, I mean, I can see you guys are working at a very high level in this portal, and I don't want to drag it down to this specifics, but I might have a look at these workshops, Nikki, that you've got coming up, and just see whether they're applicable to me as well.
And also, Jason, I think, you know, Claire Dallard is a really great contact to sort of make, you know, and she can also really point you in the right direction much better than I can. And I was just going to make a comment, though, that one of the things that came out that was quite interesting in the webinar surveys was that, in particular, there's a lot of commentary about the difficulty of communicating with your land managers particularly in Southeast Queensland. And just that you can't sort of talk directly to a ranger anymore. It's all, you know, stopped at a certain point. So this is, again, you know, we're talking, because we're national, it's something that's on our radar that we want to try and, you know, I suppose simplify those relationships so that we can, create a much easier way to communicate with the people you need to talk to in those areas.
And that's what I found, like, for instance, and like this is like I mean, my experience goes high level, but this is a very low level idea. Well, problem is that on one of these hikes, there's a water tank there, and we won't know whether it's got water in it. There's no way of us finding out whether it's got water in it. You know, we've tried to contact the local authorities, contact the local ranger, whatever. And it's just, again, like herding cats. And for us, you know, if we're taking 10 kids on a hike, we really need to know whether to pack them 4 litres each or
exactly
more.
Yeah.
Or 40. Yeah. I think that's one that we've certainly been looking at as well from an Outdoors Queensland point of view and engagement with the various land managers. But part of it for us is there are quite a few different land managers across Southeast Queensland, and it's one of those realities that we do face. So yeah, happy to be involved, but it's great to see NatCor being part of the solution on that too. And also great, Nikki, that you've kept the best to last and doing the Brisbane one in 3 weeks' time. It's going to be a big 3 weeks for the team, but yeah, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
For bringing that.
Thanks for having me.
Questions for Nikki? No, all good. Thank you, Nikki, and yeah, I hope they all go well. I'm sure they will. As you
thanks again,
embark
Dom.
on the program. Well done. Another opportunity to get involved. This is picks up just after that, the final workshop for NatCor at the end of July, Queensland Walks Month, which is throughout August. So I'd just like to hand over to Gavin Dale to tell us about the opportunities that are available through Queensland Walks Month.
Yeah, thanks, Dom. Queensland Walks Month is to celebrate walking in Queensland, of all forms of walking, whether it's commuting or transport, walking for recreation or walking for health. And every year we target a particular area and highlight walks in that particular area. So for August this year is the Redlands City Council area. Bushwalking Queensland's involved in, we are providing 4 walks during that month around the Redlands area, and they're iconic walks for Redlands, and it's open to the public to get out and walk. We also have walking correspondence, so people can actually get on the Queensland Walks website and write up about a walk they've been on to highlight that walk and let other people know about walks in their area. So it's not just for Redlands, but it's the whole of Queensland.
So Gavin, are we still looking for more community walking correspondence?
Yes, right. Looking for walking correspondence. The more the better. And get a broader view of walking in Queensland.
Terrific. All right. I've just shared the link there to the website for Queensland Walks Month. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, please check it out. And yeah, there's certainly plenty of opportunities there. So thanks, Gavin. And well done on the work that Bushwalking Queensland's doing, and also Queensland Walks as an organisation too. And they've got their funky new logo there in the A, which I love, that little path heading off into the distance. So yeah, well done on that one. Yeah. Oh, sorry, any questions for Gavin before we head on? No, all good. Cool. Thank you, mate. This
No
one's a
worries.
bit
Yep.
Thank you, mate. I just also have a reminder, Ian from Federation Uni, who's with us again today. Ian joined us last session to talk about the research study that he's conducting right now as part of his PhD. So Ian, did you want to quickly go through, discuss that one again? Just a reminder.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Dom, and thanks for the invite to come back and talk about this again. We've had the survey going for a little while now, about a month or so, and we're really at about half the number of people we want as a minimum. So I'm glad you approached me, and I can come and spruik it a little bit more. What we're really doing or looking at is trying to identify what is an outdoor education teacher's identity, and what are those things that impact that identity and that formation of that identity. So we're really looking at pre-service outdoor education, recreation, outdoor leaders who are actually studying in those areas at the moment. We are finding a lot of students are just thinking, if I'm not actually doing an outdoor education degree, this is actually not applicable to me. But as we know, anyone who's doing a degree in the outdoors, no matter which university they're at, they're able to go on to do a Masters of Teaching to become qualified outdoor education teachers. Excuse me. So please, if you know of anybody who is doing or studying outdoor education, outdoor recreation, outdoor leadership, whatever you want to call it, if they're studying the outdoors, then I'd love them to jump onto the link, which I think Dom's just put into the chat for me. So thank you very much for that. You've just saved me one there. And we're also looking at early career outdoor education teachers. So teachers who have early career is classified as the first 5 years of working as an outdoor education teacher. So anybody within that space, we want to sort of see how a school's supporting their development of their identity. And as we know, a lot of the outdoor education departments are quite small within schools. And often I think misunderstood as well as to what we do and how we do it. So it'd be quite interesting to see how are those teachers actually forming their identity, what are the impacts upon that formation as they progress in their early career.
Thanks, Ian. And I guess the part of that, it sort of goes to some of what Nikki told us about what we can then do to help inform, further outdoor education for the leaders and the teachers. So I think there's some really interesting space there and about support as people work in the profession and develop further. So yeah, thank you very much for that survey, Ian. And yeah, happy to send people reminders, and hope you get enough people fill out the survey and get some great responses on what it's all about. And I think it's a valuable thing to think about the identity of outdoor leaders in general, particularly in the outdoor ed space, because it is certainly that there's some probably some cliches in relation to outdoor edders, but there's also some really good takeaways that can come from this sort of research. So thank you for the work that you're doing on that, Ian.
No worries, Dom. Thank you. I really appreciate being able to come and talk about it and share it. And please, if you know anyone or if you are in this category, then please jump on and fill out the survey. I'd greatly appreciate it.
Right. Thanks, Ian. And yeah, we've got the link on our website as well, but I've just put the direct link to your survey there. So thank you, mate.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Ian, or are you all just busy sharing that link to every student or early career outdoor ed teacher? So please share that link to people in your networks. Terrific. Thanks, Ian. I just flicked past it. Becky from ABAT and the Outdoor Health Alliance was going to join us today, but she's not here today. So I just wanted to, we mentioned a little bit before, Nikki mentioned the Outdoors Victoria conference, where NATCOR is going to hold a one of those workshops beforehand. And their conference is next week. There's not early bird tickets available now. I think that's an old image, but yeah, it's a big conference. I think Murray, you're going along to it. I'm not sure if anyone else on the call's going along. I went to one. Ian's going. Yep, there's a few people heading along. So it's a big conference, and yeah, I hope it's a really good another opportunity to speak about what's going on in all the different aspects of the outdoors, from outdoor education, the health and well-being, general outdoor recreation, and also I know there's a section in there on nature and climate as well, and environmental stewardship. So yeah, I hope it's a really good event. I'm not sure if there's still tickets available, but you'd have to check it out on their website. If anyone has a hankering to head down and maybe dust off your winter woolies for heading into the wilds of Victoria at the Outdoors Vic conference. But I'll just pop the link in the chat as well.
So Dom, we did receive an email with the last newsletter from OV saying that they have actually sold out of tickets.
Oh wow.
But if you're keen, I would still get in touch with Thea at OV to just to at least express it, because I'd hate people to miss out on coming along. So get in touch and let them know more people want to come.
Yeah, well, it's great news if they're selling out the conference as well. So that's well done to everyone who is going along. So I hope it's a really good couple of days to fill your brains up again with all this stuff like we did at the Laurie Summit last week, which yeah, it's a big time for engaging and for these things, and as well with the opportunities like Nikki spoke about from NATCOR. So well done to all involved. A big piece of work that Outdoors Queensland is doing right now is a shameless plug for one of our projects. So this is the Queensland Outdoor Census. I'm just going to pop the link in the chat. We're going to conduct the first ever Queensland Outdoor Census in July. So it's going to be live from next Wednesday, the 12th of July. It's about all outdoor and nature-based organisations operating in Queensland, whether you're a club or a business. We would love to have you fill out the survey. This one goes to quite a few of the conversations that we've had in these sessions. We also spoke about this at Laurie Summit just last week about the need for more data in relation to the outdoors generally. We want to value the contributions that outdoor organisations make, and a way of doing that is to actually better understand the outdoor organisations that exist. These census findings are also about where we do things and how many people are engaged in outdoor activities across Queensland through outdoor organisations. It's only a really short survey. It'll take about 7 minutes to complete. So we're trying to keep it really tight. We want as many organisations as possible to complete this census survey to give us a really full picture of Queensland's outdoors and our outdoor organisations. So the key message, I guess, out of that is asking people to stand up and be counted, and encourage other outdoor organisations to also complete it. So there'll be a link that we're going to send out quite widely to the actual survey, and you can send it on to other organisations. We've had people say, well, what happens if I send it to someone who's already got it? My take on that is that shows that you value them contributing it. A few people might get it more than once. I'm not suggesting people should fill it in more than once for their organisation. If you've already done it, that's great, but it also shows that you're connected with a network of people who value your contributions. So there'll be more information coming out. There'll be a bulletin. There'll be all over our social media. But I'd really like to ask people to share this as widely as you can. We want to really get that true reflection of what the outdoor sector looks like. And we're also, as part of this project, right from the outset, we're going to share that methodology with the other states so that hopefully we can build a whole national picture. And we've been talking with Laurie and Andrew from Outdoors Vic and the other state peaks about how they might be able to then do their state and build up that whole national picture. So that's what we're also working on. It hasn't started yet, but any questions on that census? I guess you can tell it's an important project for me and for our organisation. A big part of it will be out of our control, and we know that it's actually, we're handing it over and saying, here's the survey, please complete it. This is the first, this is a one-off opportunity to really make a go of this survey and get that true picture of what the outdoors is, which will allow us to then represent that entire sector in what we do, and also maybe modify some of what we do so we do make sure the services we provide meet the needs, and also we're more counted by decision makers, etc., in relation to the decisions that affect us, such as, even the issues Jason was talking about before. If we can stand there and openly say, this is the size of this sector, make it clear that we need to be considered in when decisions are being made. So we just need that information from everyone. As I say, it's a pretty short survey. I've probably just talked about it for about as long as it would have taken you to fill the survey out if it was open. So I'm hoping that by the next time we have one of these sessions in August, we'll have, I don't know, you tell me a number. I'm hoping it's 1,000 outdoor organisations have filled in the census, and we'll have wonderful data that we'll then share with the sector as well, and so that you can get a better picture of it. Terrific. Steve, yes, we will be publishing the results of the survey. We'll be getting some information, presenting it in accessible ways and getting it out there. The analysis will probably take us a little while, depending how many people fill it out and what we get. But yeah, we'll definitely be pushing that out so that people understand it. It's not just about us getting the info and keeping it to ourselves for our own purposes. It's actually about sharing it. And that's part of this as well. If people fill in, the more people who fill it in, the better that information is going to be. Terrific. All right. We're approaching the finish line. A few reminders. I'm not sure when the next Inside the Outhouse session will be. I haven't heard from David and Pete about the next session, so we'll just stay tuned for that one. The awards nominations, as I said at the outset, our awards nominations are open now. You can nominate yourself, or you can nominate others who are doing wonderful things in the outdoors. The census survey, I think I've just talked about that one enough. That's next Wednesday, that'll open. The NatCore workshops, thanks again to Nikki for speaking to those, and also the other work that NatCore is doing in relation to risk and readiness, particularly in light of climate change. So thank you, Nikki, for joining us today to speak about those. I didn't put the Queensland Walks Month on there. Sorry, Gavin, I should have added that to my dot points there. But yeah, there's opportunities there to be involved in Queensland Walks Month as well throughout August. Check out our websites, sign up for our e-bulletins, and also our social media. Yeah, I think that sort of brings us to an end. Does anyone else have anything else wanted to talk about? I do have one quick video, this was a, if we have time, and we've sort of got 5 minutes. But of course, I'm not confident this is going to work now because it didn't work before. This is a quick video on NAIDOC week. Is this working? Sorry.
Wanna be a fireman, wanna be a DJ, wanna be a big shot in the city. Wanna drive a truck all around Australia, get into the red dust of the Santa. I wanna play drums, wanna be a cheerleader, think I'd be an artist, look at my drawings. Wanna be a rapper, wanna be a baker, wanna be a nurse just like my mother. Wanna be a policeman, wanna be a princess, wanna be a song. Wanna work at animals, they're my favorite. Wanna play piano, listen to me. Wanna make peace and I wanna feed the hungry. I wanna make a sport, I wanna be better. I wanna be a cowgirl, rather be a jockey. I'm driving ambulance through the city. Wanna be a Bill Gates, rather be a mermaid. I think I'd like to be a graphic designer. A BMX pro, a marine biologist. Well, I wanna teach in a kindergarten. Love to be a journalist and a mentor. Work with aluminium, not to my dad. Just wanna fish, wanna reel 'em and dig. Well, I'm going to sign up for the Navy. I wanna be a witch, I'm gonna be an athlete. Wanna be a singer on the stage. Wanna be a doctor, I wanna do karate. I wanna surf the net with a fast computer. Wanna make peace, I wanna feed the hungry. Wanna make this world a little bit better. Wanna stop the wars and the people fighting. I hate it when I see this on the TV.
I've just cut it off there. It does go for a little bit longer. That was filmed back in 2003 at Zilmere State School. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, what those kids might now be doing 20 years later. The interesting thing is the song from Little Things, Big Things Grow was actually written at a campsite at Lake Wivenhoe in 1989 by Kev Carmody and Paul Kelly. So they were literally sitting around a campfire. That's the story they tell. They were sitting around a campfire when they wrote the song. So it's interesting that that's come from an outdoor experience. I would like to see some of those kids maybe in the future saying, I want to work outdoors. So that's part of it as well for our world. But thank you all for coming again to today's session. Our next session from 11 o'clock on the 4th of August. Thank you very much for everything that you do, whether you're a member of Outdoors Queensland or elsewhere, your volunteering and your work that you do and contributing to all the wonderful things that happen outdoors. We'll just sign off now with my little tagline of encourage you to be kind to our planet, be kind to others, and be kind to yourselves. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Dom. Thanks, everyone.